She used to believe that love alone could conquer anything. At least, that's what she told herself when she was young, naive, and still brave enough to dream. Her name was Anya. She grew up in a modest neighborhood where dreams were cheap but opportunities were rare. Her father had passed away early, leaving her mother to stitch clothes for neighbors just to keep food on the table. Life taught Anya one lesson very early: love doesn't pay bills. That was where Arjun came in. Arjun was everything her world was not: kind, patient, and endlessly hopeful. He had no wealth, no powerful connections, no fancy future mapped out for him. What he had was ambition burning quietly inside him and a heart that refused to give up. He worked long hours repairing laptops and phones in a tiny rented shop, earning just enough to survive. But every night, after closing the shop, he studied business books borrowed from libraries, watched free online lectures, and scribbled ideas into a worn-out notebook. Anya noticed him first during college. He sat 2 rows behind her, always listening, rarely speaking. When they started talking, it felt easy, too easy. Arjun never tried to impress her with things he didn't have. He spoke of ideas, of building something meaningful, of creating value. When he talked, his eyes lit up in a way money never could. They fell in love quietly. There were no grand dates or expensive gifts. Their love lived in shared street food, long walks, and late-night conversations about the future. Arjun promised her something he couldn't yet give: a better life. And Anya believed him, at least at first. But reality has a cruel way of whispering doubts. As years passed, her mother's health worsened. Medical bills piled up. Relatives started reminding Anya of her age, of responsibilities, of marriage. Love is good, they said, but stability is better. Anya smiled politely, but every word sank deep into her chest. Arjun tried. God knows he tried. He took extra repair jobs, freelanced online, even worked nights delivering food. He wanted to save enough to start a proper company, something scalable, something real. But progress was slow, painfully slow. Every time he moved 1 step forward, life pushed him 2 steps back. Then Vikram entered her life. Vikram was everything Arjun wasn't: rich, confident, and powerful. He drove a luxury car, wore tailored suits, and spoke like the world already belonged to him. He owned businesses, properties, and influence. When Vikram looked at Anya, he didn't see struggle, he saw something he could acquire. He proposed quickly. There was no poetry in his words, no dreams of growing together. Just certainty, comfort, security. He promised her a life where her mother would get the best treatment, where she'd never have to count money again, where doors would open simply because of her name. Anya didn't say yes immediately. She went back to Arjun that night, her heart heavier than ever. She told him everything, about Vikram, about the proposal, about her fears. Arjun listened silently. When she finished, he held her hands and said something that broke him even as he said it. "I can't ask you to wait anymore." Those words shattered something between them. Anya wanted him to fight, to beg, to promise miracles. But Arjun didn't. He loved her too much to trap her in uncertainty. He told her he understood if she chose security over struggle. He told her he would always wish her happiness, even if it wasn't with him. She cried that night like she never had before. A week later, she said yes to Vikram. The wedding was grand. Lights, music, guests, laughter. Everything society calls success. Anya wore expensive jewelry and a smile that looked perfect in photos. But somewhere, buried deep beneath layers of silk and gold, her heart felt hollow. Arjun didn't attend the wedding. Instead, he stood outside his tiny shop, staring at the city lights, letting the pain burn through him. That night, he made a decision, not out of revenge, but survival. If love had taught him anything, it was that potential meant nothing without execution. He sold his shop. With the little money he had and a loan no bank wanted to give him, he moved to a smaller city where competition was low and opportunity was quiet. He failed, many times. Startups collapsed. Partners betrayed him. He slept on floors, skipped meals, and worked until his hands shook from exhaustion. But he didn't stop. Years passed. Anya's life looked perfect from the outside. Luxury homes, branded clothes, high society events. But Vikram wasn't the man she thought he was. He believed money replaced emotion. He controlled her choices, dismissed her opinions, and treated love like a transaction already paid for. She often thought of Arjun. She wondered if he still fixed laptops. If he still dreamed. If she had made the right choice. One evening, while scrolling through her phone absent-mindedly, a headline froze her breath. Youngest CEO disrupts global market with billion-dollar tech firm. The photo beneath the headline made her hands tremble. It was Arjun. Older, sharper, confident. The quiet boy she once loved was now standing on global stages, shaking hands with world leaders, building something the world couldn't ignore. Her heart sank. She had chosen security. He had chosen growth. And the world had rewarded him. She read the headline again and again, hoping it was some kind of mistake. But every article said the same thing. The same name. The same face she once knew better than anyone. Arjun Mehra, founder and CEO of a tech company that had grown from nothing into a global giant in less than 5 years. Analysts called him a visionary. Media called him unstoppable. Investors called him the future. Anya felt something tighten in her chest, a mix of pride, regret, and a pain she couldn't name. She closed the article, but she couldn't close her thoughts. That night, she lay beside Vikram in their massive bedroom, staring at the ceiling. Vikram was busy on his phone, speaking loudly about deals and profits, barely acknowledging her presence. He had never noticed when she was silent. He never asked what troubled her mind. To him, she was already provided for. What more could she possibly want? Her life with Vikram had slowly revealed its truth. The luxury was real, but so was the loneliness. Vikram controlled everything, from the clothes she wore to the people she met. Decisions were not discussions, they were announcements. When she tried to speak about ideas or emotions, he brushed them aside with impatience. Love, to him, was obligation. Respect was conditional. In moments of quiet, Anya found herself comparing the man beside her to the man she had left behind. Arjun had nothing, yet he listened. Vikram had everything, yet he never heard her. Meanwhile, Arjun's journey was anything but smooth. Success didn't arrive overnight, no matter what the media claimed. After moving cities, he had spent months pitching ideas to people who laughed him out of rooms. Investors told him he was too young, too unknown, too risky. One mentor even advised him to find a stable job instead of chasing fantasies. But Arjun had learned something heartbreak taught him. When you have already lost the most important thing, fear loses its power. He built his company from a shared workspace, surviving on instant noodles and caffeine. His idea was simple but powerful, technology that made small businesses globally competitive. While others chased trends, Arjun solved real problems. Slowly, quietly, clients came. Then, partnerships. Then funding. The day his company hit its first million in revenue, he didn't celebrate. He sat alone in his office long after everyone had left, staring at the city skyline. He thought of Anya, not with anger, but acceptance. Losing her had broken him, but it had also forced him to become someone stronger than the boy she once knew. As his company grew, so did the pressure. Fame arrived uninvited. Interviews, conferences, awards. He became careful with his words, guarded with his emotions. People admired him, but few truly knew him. Years passed like this. One evening, Arjun received an invitation to a high-profile business summit. The guest list included CEOs, investors, and influential figures from around the world. He almost declined. Events like these drained him, but something made him pause. Vikram's company was listed as a major sponsor. Arjun stared at the name for a long time. He told himself it didn't matter. The past was the past. He had moved on. Yet, Something inside him shifted. Not revenge. Not bitterness. Just an unfinished chapter quietly demanding acknowledgement. He accepted the invitation. On the day of the summit, the venue buzzed with energy. Cameras flashed. Voices overlapped. Power dressed in expensive suits walked confidently across polished floors. Arjun arrived calmly, dressed simply but elegantly. He didn't need to prove anything anymore. His presence alone carried weight. Anya was there too. She stood beside Vikram, smiling automatically as people greeted them. Her eyes scanned the room absent-mindedly, until they landed on Arjun. For a moment, the world froze. He looked different. Not just richer or more confident, but grounded. Like someone who knew exactly who he was. Their eyes met briefly. Arjun nodded politely, as he would to any acquaintance, then looked away. That small gesture shook Anya more than any confrontation could have. She expected anger, coldness, something. But what she saw was indifference, not fake, not forced. Real. Vikram noticed her distraction and frowned. "Who are you staring at?" he asked sharply. "No one," she replied quickly, but her voice betrayed her. Later that evening, Arjun was called on stage to speak. The audience fell silent as he shared his journey, not dramatized, not bitter. He spoke about failure, resilience, and the cost of ambition. He spoke about how life sometimes takes away what you love to teach you what you're capable of becoming. Anya listened with tears burning behind her eyes. Every word felt like it was meant for her, though he never once looked in her direction. After the speech, people crowded around Arjun. Investors praised him. Young entrepreneurs asked for advice. Vikram watched from a distance, irritation growing on his face. "That's the guy," Vikram muttered. "Overhyped. Just another lucky startup story." But his clenched jaw told a different story. Later, by chance, or fate, Anya and Arjun found themselves standing near the same balcony overlooking the city. The noise of the event faded into the background. "Congratulations," Anya said softly, breaking the silence. Arjun turned to her, surprised but composed. "Thank you. I hope you're well." Those words were polite, distant, nothing like the warmth they once shared. "I saw your speech," she continued. "You've done incredibly well." He nodded. Life has a way of surprising us. There were so many things she wanted to say. Apologies, explanations, regrets. But none of them felt right anymore. "I'm happy for you," she finally said, though her voice cracked. Arjun looked at her for a long moment. "I'm glad," he replied. "I truly am." Before she could say anything else, Vikram approached, his presence cutting through the moment. "Anya," he said curtly, then turned to Arjun. "Didn't know we'd be sharing space with celebrities tonight." Arjun smiled politely. "The market is big enough for all of us." The tension was unmistakable. As Arjun walked away, Anya felt a strange realization settle in. The man she once left behind hadn't just become successful, he had become someone she could no longer reach. That night, sitting alone in the back seat of her luxury car, Anya understood something painful and irreversible. She had chosen money over love. And now, love stood far beyond her reach, successful, complete, and no longer waiting. The drive home that night felt longer than usual. The city lights blurred past the car window as Anya stared outside, her reflection staring back at her like a stranger. Vikram sat beside her, silent, his jaw tight. He was angry, but not at the world, at being overshadowed. That silence continued for days. At home, Vikram became colder, sharper. Small things irritated him. He snapped at staff, ignored calls, stayed out late. Anya sensed the shift immediately. She had learned to read moods to survive this marriage, and this one was dangerous. Arjun's presence hadn't just reminded her of the past, it had wounded Vikram's pride. Vikram hated one thing more than failure: comparison. Behind closed doors, his empire wasn't as strong as it appeared. His businesses were built on risky loans, inflated numbers, and borrowed confidence. For years, his wealth had masked the cracks. But markets were changing. Investors were becoming cautious. And worst of all, Arjun's company had entered the same space, clean, innovative, and trusted. Clients started switching. At first, Vikram dismissed it. Then reports confirmed it. One by one, contracts slipped away. Meetings ended without handshakes. Calls went unanswered. The same people who once praised him now avoided him. He took it out on Anya. "You think that man is better than me?" he shouted one night, slamming a glass against the wall. "Is that what you were thinking at that event?" She stood still, heart pounding. "I wasn't thinking anything," she said quietly. "Don't lie to me," he barked. Women always compare. For the first time in years, something inside Anya broke free from fear. "I didn't need to compare," she said softly. "Life already did." Her words hung in the air like a verdict. Vikram stared at her, stunned. Then he laughed bitterly. "You chose me," he said. "You chose money. Remember that." She did remember. Every single day. Meanwhile, Arjun's life moved forward with relentless momentum. His company expanded across continents. Magazines featured him as the youngest self-made CEO redefining global business. But success hadn't erased his past, it had refined him. Late at night, alone in his penthouse office, Arjun sometimes thought of the boy he used to be. The boy who believed love would be enough. He didn't hate that boy. He respected him, but he would never be him again. One evening, Arjun received an email request for a meeting. It was from Vikram. The message was formal, almost desperate. A partnership proposal. A merger discussion. Arjun read it carefully, then leaned back in his chair. He knew what this really was, not collaboration, but survival. He agreed to meet. The meeting took place in a glass-walled boardroom overlooking the city. Vikram arrived first, his confidence rehearsed but thin. When Arjun entered, calm and composed, the imbalance was obvious. They exchanged professional pleasantries. Numbers were discussed. Proposals were made. But Vikram's voice lacked conviction. He was negotiating from weakness. Finally, Vikram leaned back. "Let's be honest," he said. "You know why I'm here." Arjun met his gaze steadily. "I do." Vikram hesitated, then spoke words he never imagined he would. "I need this deal." Arjun nodded slowly. "I don't." Silence filled the room. "I'm not here to destroy you," Arjun continued. "Business isn't personal for me." Vikram smirked bitterly. "But life is." Arjun stood. "I wish you well," he said simply. "That's all I have to offer." The deal never happened. Within months, Vikram's empire collapsed. Investors pulled out. Legal troubles surfaced. Media turned ruthless. The same headlines that once celebrated him now dissected his failures. Anya watched it all unravel from the sidelines. The luxury disappeared first. Then the staff. Then the house. Arguments replaced silence. Accusations replaced control. One night, after a particularly vicious fight, Vikram said words that finally set her free. "You were never an investment worth making." She packed a single suitcase and left. The divorce was quick, cold, and public. Friends vanished. Society whispered. For the first time in years, Anya stood alone, without money, without status, without protection. But strangely, she felt lighter. She moved into a small apartment and took a job at a nonprofit organization, helping women rebuild their lives after abusive relationships. The work was hard, the pay modest, but every day felt honest. For the first time since leaving Arjun, she felt like herself again. Still, regret lingered. Not for the life she lost, but for the love she abandoned. Months later, Anya received an invitation she never expected. Arjun's company was launching a global initiative to fund social impact startups. Her organization had been shortlisted as a beneficiary partner. She considered declining. But life rarely gives second chances disguised as courage. At the event, Arjun spotted her across the room. This time, he walked toward her. "You're doing good work," he said after hearing about her role. She smiled faintly. "Trying to." There was no tension now. No power struggle. Just two people shaped by the consequences of their choices. I owe you an apology, Anya said quietly. Not for choosing security, but for not believing in you when it mattered. Arjun looked at her thoughtfully. I don't blame you, he said. You chose what you thought would protect you. She swallowed hard. I lost you because of it. He nodded. And I found myself because of it. They stood in silence, understanding settling between them. Are you happy? She asked. Arjun paused before answering. I'm at peace. That answer hurt more than any rejection could have. As the night ended, Arjun prepared to leave. Before walking away, he turned back to her one last time. Some people come into our lives to stay, he said. Others come to teach us. She nodded, tears in her eyes. You taught me everything. He smiled gently. Then it wasn't a waste. Arjun walked away, successful, complete, and free. Anya watched him disappear into the crowd, knowing this was the final chapter. She had chosen money once and lost love forever. But in losing everything else, she had finally found truth. And this time, she would choose differently, not wealth, not comfort, but dignity. Some lessons come late, but they stay for life.